Hello, Iccha.
Greetings, Shemsu-t.
How are you tonight?
I am magnificent. The divine in me recognizes and salutes the divine in all things and the divine in you.
Well, thank you. I accept that and I salute you back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining Iccha and I tonight for our sixth edition of Coach's Corner. And Iccha will go ahead and introduce tonight's topic and we'll see if we can get going.
Absolutely. Tonight, we are going to be talking about the circle of wealth. I'm so excited for us to talk about this. We get an opportunity to talk about wealth in its many different formats and look at ways that we could partner with each other in learning how to hold and be present to wealth in every way.
Yes, and it is such a perfect timing because this coming week we're going to be engaging in the summer solstice. So, the summer solstice is an opportune time to take those 4 days, June 21st through the 24th, to actually plant seeds and be one with the stillness of the sun and one with nature and really plan out the full of next year. So each and I thought it would be great to really discuss the circle of wealth so that you could create your own circle of wealth during that time and focus on what it is that you want to expand and nurture in your own space. Right, Iccha?
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. So, wow. With the solstice coming, like you said, it's an opportunity for us to plant our seeds. And actually, the solstice, we planted seeds in the in the winter, and now we're having an opportunity to see some of what's being brought to fruition in the wealth of that. And so,
Well, one of the traditions of the actual Kemetic tradition is that you begin your year after the equinox, the spring equinox, the vernal equinox, right?
yeah,
Because you have the opportunity to literally be in the vibration of living. So the summer solstice gives you a chance to create what's new, what's moving forward new. And the winter solstice is an opportunity to look at that half year and see what else needs to be created so that I can complete the rest of that year. So it's like a full cycle. You
yeah,
know, you have to have all four seasons in order to get the fullness of your produce or your production, right? Isn't that cool?
absolutely. That is
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. So usually we do a reading. We do readings at the summer solstice to actually see what energy is governing your year, what spiritual things you can be working on, what energy is available to you this year so that you can actually magnify your divinity. I like how you always say that, Icha. And so you really take on what it looks like to have a full year of that cultivation, spiritual cultivation.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. And we take time during the different times, like you said, to do the readings. We also take the time to do the Ignite Your Soul connection. We did
Hmm.
that in the winter time, and then this now we're going to be doing it just like you're saying at the summer solstice. So how
Yeah.
exciting is that? So we have that wealth coming up this week as well.
Wow, that is
Mm.
wealth. When we're talking about wealth, um, if someone were to ask you what is wealth, how would you define that? What would you say is your definition of wealth?
Wow, that's a good question. I experience wealth in many different formats. And if someone were to ask me, what is my definition of wealth? I would have to say being able to live my life the way that I choose to. Uh, yeah, regardless of anything. So time or space or anything. So that would include that I would have to be flowing fully in all of my gifts, one of which would be my wellness, which is my gift, my connections, my spiritual partnerships, which is my gift, and then also my financial abundance to take care of everything, around me and keep all of that moving forward. I would need to be able to take care of all of those things. So to be able to move the way I choose to in the world with all of that intact, that is wealth for me. That's how I would say it.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, and I would also add to that that knowledge is a form of wealth. So you mentioned the material wealth, financial, whatever it is for you to live comfortably, that's wealth. Your time to be able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. The health. I mean, health is really important because you can want to do something, but if your body is not wanting to do it, you're not going to do it, right?
Indeed.
So your health is surely a form of wealth. And then knowledge. Knowledge can be converted to many different assets. Once you learn a skill, you can convert that to generate assets so that you can have more time, more health, more energy, so it's really significant for us to realize that when we're cultivating wealth, we're not just talking about money. We're not just talking about houses and gold and, but even opportunity, in order to flourish, we want to acknowledge wealth and abundance consistently.
Yeah.
Right. So whether you have a dime in your pocket or not doesn't matter. I bet you can look around and see the abundance in your life. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, how many times have you wanted to do something and you may not have had the money, but inside of wanting to do it, you stood inside of that intention. And then all of a sudden somebody called you and said, hey, do you want to do such and such and such? And you were like, oh my God, I was just wanting to do that.
Exactly.
Has that ever happened to you, Iccha?
Yes, that has happened many times. I hold the intention that I would like to, like you said, do something and not certain really how I will do it. And next thing you know, it will occur. Actually, my first trip abroad, I didn't know how that was happening, how that would happen. To go to Costa Rica. I remember I ran home and I told my dad, I'm going to Costa Rica. He said, well, when do you leave? And because, we both agreed, little by little, step by step, things opened up. My sister-in-law was selling Avon. She said, you could do an Avon fundraiser. And I was able to keep portions of selling the Avon. And there were people at church that wanted to contribute. And there were many different opportunities just opened up. I was just like, I'm going to Costa Rica. And next thing you know, I was in Costa Rica.
That's beautiful, Iccha. I'm glad you brought that up because that's exactly what happened when I took a group of students to Egypt. And I remember writing the proposal when my son was in 7th grade, and I wrote the proposal to the director of the school I said, well, why don't we take them abroad instead of taking them to Washington, D.C.? I mean, surely children have been, to Washington, D.C. enough, right? And they said, well, Miss Stewart, where are we going to get the money from to do that? I said, we'll create it. We'll fundraise. We had this huge meeting. I think it was like 50 something students in the 8th grade. It was going to be their 8th grade trip. And the first thing a lot of the parents said was, we don't have the money. And so, I so boldly said, well, if you pay $1,500, I'll cover fundraising for the other $2,000 because the trip was $3,500 per student. Now, I don't know why I said that, but I felt very confident that we could raise, and surely we did. We raised $65,000 in about 6 months to take. Wow. It ended up only being 15 students because a lot of parents, because they did not believe in the possibility, they did not even participate from the beginning. They just pulled out. And one of the things that you just said that was very pertinent was every time a parent, even if they brought me $100, I would give them a receipt, and I told them, put this on your refrigerator. And it said, I am going to Egypt. We are going to Egypt.
Yeah.
And I said, every time, I need that light, love. We said every time that they saw that, they would actually say, we are going to Egypt. And surely, when you actually affirm something, what does the universe do?
Goes to create it right back with you, co-creation.
It's going to give you exactly what you ask for.
Yeah.
And so this is what we're standing inside of tonight when we're sharing about creating your circle of wealth, that your words and your intentions and your way of being, you have to actually hold the space for abundance to flow to you. So you can't say out of your mouth, we're going to Egypt, and then the next time you see somebody, you say, oh, you can't go because you don't have the money, but we have the money.
Wow.
People do that, you know.
Yes. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
You know how we do. I got mine, not you can't go, you know. And we want to be mindful that generosity of the universe, the abundance is for everyone. Everyone. Yes, yeah. So thank you, Iccha, for putting that story on board, because you know what I'm thinking, don't you?
Yes.
We'll talk later.
Yes, we will. Yes, indeed. My.
Okay. So now let's talk about creating your own circle. Now, this is one of those conversations that Iccha and I talked about several years ago. Mm-hmm. And just like everything that I share with Iccha, she always embellishes it and falls in love with it and then owns it and create her own thing out of it.
Right.
And then she come back and said, Mo, you remember when we did this? You have to share that with the group. Like, oh yeah, me too. Because a lot of this is a course that we have taught. Of course, I actually taught this course in St. Croix a couple of years ago. And it is called Creating Your Own Circle of Wealth. And so we thought that it would be really great if we shared this with you so that you could have an idea of what it looks like to create a circle of wealth and then fuel it, right? Yeah. Like send energy to it. So you want to go ahead and explain that, Iccha?
Yes, Shemsu-t. Now, let's see here. I got my chalkboard and I got my chalk and I'm going to draw it. And what I would, let's see here. Here we go. Can you see my chalkboard?
I do. It's such a large green chalkboard. I love that. Mm-hmm.
Isn't that cool?
Very cool.
Uh-oh. That's not quite a circle.
Well, it's round. It's definitely has some roundness going on with it.
My chalk is let me try one more time.
Oh, is your board slick?
It's a little slippery.
Mm-hmm.
I write on it, but I guess I haven't written on it in a while. I'll try again.
Okay.
Yep, I think my board got something on it, but it's okay. We'll work it through. So can you see that at all?
No. Do you don't, so look, I can do it from here. Can you see that?
Yep.
It's not.
Yep, I can see that clear.
It's not as big as yours.
I guess big is not a big thing if you can't see it.
Oh, wait, it looks like it's starting to come in now, Iccha. Is it? Yeah. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and tell them why you're drawing that circle?
You said, why am I drawing a circle?
Yeah.
Okay. So the way that, so Shemsu-t, you know, I took it on. So you'll have to share with me if I need to shift. Okay. The way that I took it on, when Shemsu-t said the circle of wealth, one of the first things that I did was thinking about a circle, thinking about pies, thinking about the zodiac, thinking about north, south, east, and west,
Mm-hmm.
Marv, MEPS, all of that. So the
Mm-hmm.
first thing that came to the forefront for me was north, south, east, and west, or 4 directions. So I started off here. So I created principal beings for each spot. So with the circle of wealth, the way that I understand it is that we take 12 projects or 12 masculine or 12 feminine energies, and we fill up our circle of wealth and we practice sending them energy. So
Mm-hmm.
actually I have all three. So I have one of men, one of women, and then one of projects. And
Mm-hmm.
they consistently shift, not often. So it's not like every other day I'm taking people off and putting them on. But as seasons and cycles in my life shift, then those things shift. And so let's see here. So for my feminine one, let's go ahead and start. And so normally I put people in proximity to myself. So Shemsu-t, actually now she's in a different place. She used to be one place, now she's someplace else. So I'll put Moot, and I'll put Nini. I'll put Tanya, and I'll put Tammy. Okay, so these are my 4 principles, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then from there, I go in and I'm like, oh, okay, so my next ones, I need 3 for each of them. So it'll make it, my whole 12. So by mood, I'll put Monica, and up here by Nini, I'll put Shalonda. And then over here by Tanya, I'll put Alanda. And then over here by Tammy, I put Aaron. And then up here, and so you keep going around and you fill it in. And so, of course, in this moment, I don't remember everybody's name right this minute.
No,
I
that's
guess I have
perfect.
a little, of being on camera. Hey, y'all. But you get the idea. So I have the same thing for the masculine energy in my life, and then
Mm-hmm.
for my projects. And so the way that this works for me is that I have it written down, and it is my intention that each day I send energy. I practice sending energy from here and then to here. So I practice sending energy to the center of this so it goes out to everyone. I also practice being in the center there. So it's, I get to play with it in different ways. And the way that my mind conceptualizes it is that I'm sending all of that energy to them. So naturally I'm sending love to them. It's flowing. So that means
Mm-hmm.
it's coming back to me as well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and whether they know it or not, because some of the people know it, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
like I call them every day, hey, you on my circle of wealth, I'm sending it to you. But I'm consistently sending love to this and to my projects that are up here. And doing this work, I will say this, Shemsu-t, has gotten me more intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to add that as a difference inside of this, because I could see now that adding the intentionality exponentializes the work that we do,
Yes.
because the intention now moves it forward, because it fuels it. It gives it more fuel to be able to, like Shemsu-t was sharing, in order for it to go. She didn't say that, but I'm saying that.
Yeah, that's perfect, Iccha. And then, just to even give more depth to what you're saying, can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I included, this is what my circle of wealth looks like for the ACEs program. So you all know that we put together a program for the summer, right? And so
Yes.
my 4 principles are the program managers. So up here I have Iccha, and then I have Kiana, then I have Alanda and Aaron. And then I also have the other aspects. I have the program administrator, I have the mentors, I have the curriculum itself, and then I have the students. So this gives me an actual, like a energy map.
Yeah.
Of where my time, energy, and attention needs to go for this particular project. So when I'm actually working with this, and what we suggest is that you have a notebook, a binder, or a, what do you call it? A spiral notebook, so that on each page, you can have one page, and each has said it, where you have just the women that you're sending energy to. And we're not telling you that those women have to all be Master Force coaches, but we're talking about the women in your family. Like, I do have a circle of wealth for my family where I'm energizing just the children, or I'm energizing just the couples. You see? So there are different ways that you can use it. And when we're talking about fueling, I love how you said that, Iccha. When we're talking about fueling the intention of the relationship, it's really about, just sitting for a few minutes. You can do your bandhas, you can do your bakwa, you can do whatever you want to, and just for 3 to 5 minutes, send energy to those people. Now, if you have children, you want to send divine protection to them. And if you are working in a job and you have coworkers, you can create a circle of wealth for the people that you work with. The worst thing you can do is have a job and hate the people there. Even if you don't get along with them, you can send them the intention of light and love too. Sometimes we don't like to love people that we don't like, but I promise you, it goes a long way for you to do that, right?
That is so powerful that you're sharing that, Shemsu, because first of all, when you added the points to that, this is the first time that I've ever added points to mine. So I'm going to shift mine and add the points, because I can even feel the shift in the energy with that. And I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah. It's the triangle. It's sending energy, it's like centering and sending out, like you were saying, sending out from the center, as well as receiving in, sending out from the center, receiving to the center. It's so many different ways. And it's a part of raising our vibration.
Yes, indeed. That is so cool that you say that, because I could see it. Has me in that idea, feeling like we're hot air balloons and we're just supporting each other and keeping each other aloft.
Yes.
And with our intention, we just keep raising each other and keep being present to each other and just keep lifting each other up. Just like hot air balloons, just keep going up and up. And that imagery is so powerful, such a beautiful imagery. And even a level of that takes us, higher and higher. What you said about coworkers, I can remember times when I worked in the corporate world and realizing that those are the people that's actually your family, because you spend the lion's share of your time with them. When you look at that, that's 40 concentrated hours per week at the minimum, let alone if you're diligent and you get there early or stay late or different things like that, or outings. That's a long time of concentrated energy. And I can remember that, just like you said, if I was working with people that I really enjoyed, it was very much of a difference than if I was not. Yeah. And I also had one opportunity before I left corporate America to shift a relationship. There was someone, she was my manager, and we had a very challenging time together. And it was just something, I'm so grateful. My soul just was like, you know what? Get along with her. My soul was very explicit with me. Get along with her. And so I shifted. And I started leaning my energy more towards her to just be more in a space of wanting to connect and get along. After that, my whole experience at work changed
Yeah.
completely.
Yes.
And she was my actual manager too, so that made a difference as well, because when it came time for us to discuss things that maybe I was learning and things like that, she had a whole different demeanor with me. Whereas
Wow.
before it was very confrontational. Now it was very nurturing, like, let me show you how to grow. And it was
Wow.
so awesome, and it was simply because I shifted and I was willing to raise my vibration and to hold her up, hold her in a higher
Yes.
light.
Yes.
And as a result of that, shifted right there. The
Wow.
abundance flowed. That's what wealth is.
Yes. That's what wealth
That's what wealth
is.
is.
And here it is that you get to create wealth from nothing. You get to be in the space of your own energy and determining what the outsource is going to be, and then send your intention that way. And quite naturally, it comes in and creates. I mean, that's what that looks like. But if you get scattered, you over here looking at this, you over here doing this, your energy is just all over the place. So you get to focus with the circle of wealth. You get to focus your intention, a few minutes a day, so that the universe knows what exactly it is you're working on. What are you directing energy to so that it has an outcome? Right? And that part of our work is to become more concrete in ourselves and our intention, and not be so caught up in the matrix and figuring out, what's the president doing? What's the, that's, if it's not directly in front of us, it's really not our game to be playing. We'll know when it's time to play in that league.
Absolutely.
But for the most part, we want to be building our own wealth, So, so Iccha, here's another way to look at that. Next week we have Ignite Your Soul Connection. How would you create a circle of wealth to send energy to that project?
Oh, I love that. Okay, let's get busy right now.
Yes. So how would you do that?
So first and foremost, I would put Ignite Your Soul Connection in the center of my circle.
Yeah, you can just put the initials up, because we all know
Yep.
that. Right?
Yeah, it's y'all know what I'm writing. There you go.
Yes.
All right, so I will put that in the center. And I'm going to send myself some energy because I'm a part of it.
Yes, you are. Yes.
And the person that I am going to be working with the most would be you.
Yeah.
So I'll put you there. On that one of the days, I know I'll be working with Timothy.
Yeah.
And then I'll put his counterpart. Oh, wait a minute. We said that we were going to let them. Nene. I'm putting Nene.
Okay, good. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's the beginning right there. And then I will put.
Now just put another spoke at that halfway mark. Put another spoke and put your other speakers.
Okay.
Yeah, right there at the half, in between the two. Just put them.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
And then.
So you have Teresa.
And then
Aaron,
Alanda,
Aaron.
And then Aaron.
Mm-hmm. Now, see, I would have spokes in between there. You see that? In between my main points. And, because otherwise it looks like they get less energy, and they don't get less energy.
Ah.
They're not,
okay.
Everybody gets a large amount of energy. So, you would put the spokes in between those two so that you can clearly see. Because when it's time for me to spend 3 minutes over here, they get their 3 to 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so then one of the things that you could do is to send energy to yourself, to those speakers, to the program, to the listeners. And then of course we have Kim in the background. Kim is one of our administrators that supports us in the background. You don't see her too much on the screen, but she's in the background working with us. And isn't that cool though?
It is cool. I'm shoring it up right now.
And so, you know, what we want, we really are requesting that you become more diligent inside of writing down your intentions. So the circle of wealth is just another tool that's designed for you to be focused on what it is you're dealing with. So if you have this spiral notebook, you're going to have a number of different things. Like right now, our spiral notebook, we have the ACEs program in there. We have the Ignite Your Soul Connection program in there. We have the July 14th program, Midsummer Nights Evening. Oh no, Midsummer Evening of Magic with Master Force. That's a lot. Like to see what that T-shirt's gonna look like. That's July 14th. Then we have the executive leadership circle. We have people who are preparing to do the next rendition of the recertification. We actually have 2 courses going on right now that we'll be finishing up before the end of the summer. So all of that could be inside of the Master Force circle, but then individually they can have their own page because they have their own pieces. So for your businesses, you may have a page, right? With the spokes in there and the people. You know, we suggest that you not have more than 12 spokes on a circle. So it's not too complicated. That's why we break it down into those little entities. Iccha is always teasing me because I remind her, I said, there's a reason Jesus only had 12 disciples and he's still very prominent in the way the world functions today, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to stick with that 12 because it's part of the design principle. And, you know, you have the zodiac signs. I mean, there's so many ways that 12 is the number. And then you yourself make 13. You make 13, right?
Okay, so let's see. I think it's coming along. It's getting a little bit more symmetrical, but I need some space. I got our young master geniuses on there. I got the audience, Aaron and Teresa and Jaquay and Alanda and Nene, and I have her on there twice.
Well, okay.
It's so funny. And so what I'm going to do actually is I have a notebook that I've been working with.
Yeah.
So I will go ahead and, you know, get it actually the way that I really want it inside of there. But this is a good practice to get started.
Well, that's what I love about you, Iccha, because give you something to process and play with and expand on. You're going to be calling me tomorrow telling me some in-depth stuff about what you discovered. Because
the circle started opening up while I was asleep.
Right.
You already know.
I already know. You know, so we really wanted to share this with you because the abundance flows to your ability to open up and receive. So when you're creating the circle of wealth, you're opening your capacity. You literally are saying, okay, I have this many projects. I mean, people are like, how do you have so many things going on? Because I give, remember, 15 minutes a day, I give time and energy to them. And part of them is inside of the circle of wealth. So when I'm doing something, I might have an idea that flow down and I don't have to stop what I'm doing to figure it out. But I do know when I go and sit with my work, it's going to be applied to the area that it's efficient for. And, you know, it just gives you that more clarity and more openness to get ideas and put them in the right place. Am I making sense, Iccha?
Absolutely. It's very powerful what you're sharing too. It's reminding me of the the skill, the expertise that you bring inside of the energy of project management. And having us getting really intentional around that, because the ability to expand enough to be able to hold the details that go along with the different things that we're doing, that's what you're sharing with us inside of this. And it's so awesome.
Yeah, that, I was really testing you this week, really stretching you out, because one of the things that we have to be very aware of is that you can say that you want something, but if you resist the growth that goes along with having it, you can't expand to hold it. You just can't.
How did I do?
You did. You did good, and you did good because you owned the places where you are still, stretching, right? You own those places. You came back and said, look, I didn't get this part right, but I see it. A lot of times people still have the character where they'll avoid you. So they're not going to talk to you. They're not going to own it. They're not going to tell you they didn't do their work. They're going to let you ask them, and nope, I didn't do it. So that's a limited leadership right there, because you may not get done. I mean, literally, I have to call myself to task every night before I go to bed. That's what my recapitulation looks like. Did I get done what I said I was going to do? And if I didn't, I don't call myself, oh, you this and you didn't. No, I just take it to do tomorrow. My time is my wealth. If I didn't get it done today, it goes to tomorrow. Or sometimes, like last night, I just stay up and get it done. Sometimes I can't sleep until I get it done. And many of us are like that, and I have to be mindful of that, because I could have the potential of being a workaholic. However, I have the 10 of spade card today. And yesterday,
I was about to say, that's your card today.
Yes, baby. And yesterday was an 8 of club. Come on, Leela. Maybe I was 2 straight strong days. I was getting it in.
You know what? And it's so funny, because I was reminding myself, that's part of our wealth also, to be able to have a clarity about what's going on around us, and the people that we're working with, and the people that we love and care about, and that we nurture and support inside of our circle of wealth. I think that there are several different cards that I check each day. There are ones also that I check, like if I know that we're going to have a call, I check everybody that's on the call to see what's their cards that day. Normally, that's where I stop it. If it's a call where I know that we're going to be doing something in depth, I might go a little further to see, like, what day of the week is it for you? What's your, just really bathe in it a little bit more. But just at the very least, I'm going in and I'm checking. I'm like, okay, let me see. Check my friend list right quick. I know that we got a call. Oh, she the workaholic card. Okay, so I know that let me make sure to get myself on point too, because she'll have an energy that we can utilize together, because she has insight and she's ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I can see that, and knowing also, let's see, what day of the week is this for you? I didn't look at that then. Oh, this is a Venus day. Mm-hmm. So it's workaholic, but it's a little bit softer. If it had been workaholic and Mars,
ooh, baby. What I tell you that day? I say, yeah, I've been working you a little bit, but let me give you this other thing too.
Girl, it's so funny. And this is the thing that I know about myself. Today is an initiation day for me. I'm an Ace of Spades on today. And so what that means is be present to the mystery of today. Yes. Be present to the opening and the unfolding and the newness of today relative to your work and to your health.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so in knowing that, I also know that it's a Mars day for me. So being present to that, it's a very powerful, awesome energy. And I'm like, okay, cool. Wow. This is great. Right?
Well, that's probably why we do so well on this call on Fridays, because it's my Venus day and it's your Mars day. Right. So that's like a perfect combo.
Right? It's a love of work. It's love of work.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a love relationship too. The male and the female energy that comes together.
Masculine, feminine.
Masculine, feminine. Yeah. So there's, I don't know, Iccha, I think we're gonna have to make maybe some tapping behind our projects, our circle of wealth. That might be fun, because I was just thinking, right, what can we follow up with to share with them so that people really get, like, this is really a ritual of your life. Like, you get to create your life based on the intention and the attention that you give to what you desire. If you keep getting fickle and paying too much attention to outside, you're only going to get just a little bit. Really. Society will sprinkle you with just a little bit. The universe will give you what you ask for inside of your intention. And that's why we talk about meditation, and we talk about relaxing, and we talk about visualization. The whole Marv technique is an internal process. It's internal. I don't care how much you burn incense and sage and rub oil and all that. All of that's external. It's like, when do you go inside and be present to your soul? Because that's where your juice is. That's where your partnership, that's your first spiritual partnership with your soul. So if you're avoiding doing that, it's going to be very challenging for you to make something happen outside of you. So what I really suggest is you start off by creating a circle of wealth for your household, so that on a regular basis, or for your household, for your family, and then go to your business and your projects and master force or whatever, but do your family first.
So what could that look like? So, like, say for instance, me for my household.
Well, I would, because you live alone, but you may want to do your family. So in your family, your circle of wealth would include your mother, your grandmother, your brother, your sisters, right? And then your nieces, your nephews. You see that? And that's probably about your first 12 right there.
Yeah, that's it. That's it right there.
Yeah. And it's so interesting. When I do the children, I have to do them in layers, because we have like 30 something children under 15. My nieces and nephews, So you really want to send energy. And the more you send energy to people, you increase your power. The universe, anytime you send something out, you're keeping some of that for yourself. Your intention is going out, but it's going out from something that you have in you. If you can think about Africa, the continent of Africa, it's a Pangea. That means that the whole body itself is grounded in the earth. It's the only continent in the world that is grounded in the earth, and everything else, all the other continents, broke off from it to become what they are. But Africa is a Pangea. So because it's a Pangea, that means all of the minerals and the irons and the richness and the crystals and the everything is what? It's endless. It's endless, because the earth itself is always providing. This is why people have spent so much time mining Africa and going over there and getting all the diamonds. Diamonds are endless. They're not rare. Rare diamonds are not rare. Diamonds, you go and walk, you're walking on diamonds over in Africa, right? So this is the same thing about the work that you do. When you're anchored from your soul, you cannot outgive the universe. The universe is going to constantly pour into you when you're giving from your soul, because you're anchored. So that means that the more you give, the more you're going to have. But if you give from a place of lack because you're not anchored, it doesn't work like that. Again, you don't have a solid grounding. You're not grounded enough to hold all that the universe wants to give to you. So it's not that it can't give to you. It doesn't. It's not like it's punishing you, but you don't have the stamina to hold it. This is
I
why
can
it's a
hear
good
that.
practice. Yeah, it's a good practice to give.
That's so powerful that you're saying that. And the thing that I wanted to see if you would just share some concrete way that, like, if I'm listening to this and I'm wanting to like do a self check and see how will I know that I'm giving from my soul versus not? Like, how could I be able to tell?
Well, for one thing, you would be peaceful. You would be calm. You would be relaxed. You would be centered. You would be content. You
Got
see,
it.
you would be giving from a place of being solid, not
Okay.
not fractured, and not angry, and not upset, and not resentful. All of those are ways of giving that are not there. First of all, they're not authentic giving. It's almost like you're doing something because you feel like you have to. That's why I stated last week, when you're doing something out of obligation, it is not love. It is not love. So it's not like you can't make it love. You can make it love. If you have to do something, turn it into love. We're alchemists.
Yes.
So we can turn anything into love. But your unwillingness to do that is where the limitation is. Sometimes we're unwilling to be loved, and that's where we go outside of our divinity. That's when we stop being the goddess and the god, because we're refusing to own that power. I can do this. And you say, I don't want to, And then we get to be to the point where we have a right. I got a right to not want to.
Yes.
And you do. It's literally to grow into that level of grace takes something, and it takes your surrender to the process, and you don't have to. And you want to be responsible to know that you will get whatever you give. The universe, God, is no respecter of person. You reap what you sow. No respecter. You don't get stuff because you're good. You get stuff because you've sown it. God could care. I mean, one of the things I remember, I struggled with this years ago. I read something, I forget which book it is, but it said, God doesn't care. And I want to, that's why I love reading books, because you can't argue with the book. You can put the book down, and that's what I do a lot of times.
Put it down and pick it up.
I put it down. What the heck? God doesn't care. And then as you get to have children, and you begin to disconnect from that attachment to, whether they do something or not do something, it's like, oh, okay. You have to release the care. You have to release they got to do it because I said so. They got to do it like this. God provides whatever we're open to receiving, good, bad, and ugly. And our words pretty much speak to that. Whatever you say, that's what's coming in. You say you're sick, you're sick. You say you're healthy, you're healthy. You say you're wealthy, you're wealthy. You say you're poor, you're poor. You say you're angry, you're angry. Nothing in you is going to come back and the universe is not going to come back and say, oh, you can't be angry. It doesn't care. This is your experience. And there's nothing wrong with that. Can you hear me? There's nothing wrong with where we are. Wherever we are, that's where we are. But just know that that is what you've created. And I get so many people that hate when I say that. And it's like, listen, I've had to live my life on top of that too.
Yeah.
Knocking my two front teeth out. Yeah, really. I have to live inside of that. Does that make sense, Iccha? Can you hear that? Can you hear
Yes,
that?
yes, absolutely. It does. And so knowing ways to be able to check in with myself, and as the coaches watch this, being able to check in with themselves and seeing how am I present to my giving, and it'll let me know where I'm giving from, and then I can shift it if I choose to.
Yeah.
And that's the power right there. And again, there's a wealth inside of that, because when I take the time to really check in with myself, then I can see, oh, my intention, I need to open that up, and I need to get present to this differently, because I'm creating something that is, here, and I could see that my focus was there. Let me get it focused and connected with what it is that I'm creating and what I'm
Yes.
present to. And when I'm saying this, you were saying, like, as far as like a ritual, I just really see like spending time inside of my breathing with that, practicing my bandhas, my Udi bandha, and I've been breathing and practicing the locks in the body and so forth. And even, I'm pointing nobody, no, I'm pointing to my bathroom, spending time when I'm bathing, massaging my face, massaging my body, and the tapping even.
Yes.
I'll find myself practicing the breathing and the bandhas, just putting those technologies together.
Yeah, the richness is truly inside us, and that's what we're wanting people to be embraced, with yourself, and I want to make sure that I'm clear that it's not that you have to be giving all the time, right? Because receiving is just as important. And also, when I'm talking about giving, I'm not saying that every time somebody asks you for something that you say, oh yeah, here, because sometimes being generous cannot be a good thing. Sometimes being generous is not a good thing. Right? Can you hear that? Like
Absolutely.
you can overgive to somebody to the point where they won't have a chance to stand on their own and do their work and grow into strong, able people. They'll always have to come and ask you, well, what should I do? Well, what should I do? Well, how should I do it? It used to really I used to be challenged by people to say, oh, move out of the way, I'll do it myself. Well, if you're teaching someone to do something, be willing to let them fail at it, because if you move them out of the way so you can do it yourself, you just condemn them for one thing, and then secondly, you made them feel really bad, and they may not even attempt to do that again. Right? Can you hear that? So
Yeah.
we have to be willing to let people experience whatever they're going to experience, and sometimes we do have to say no, and that's being generous. Sometimes to say no is being generous.
That is so cool. I'm grateful that you're sharing that, because one of the things that I was hearing you talk about was possibly overgiving to someone. And sometimes we shut down their divinity to be able to receive from the universe, because we're so busy giving something to them, not allowing them to have the experience that they actually are calling for, from the universe. And that lends to the point of no rescuing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why we say no rescuing. And as challenging as that concept is, it's really being generous. It's really, if I think you're powerful, Iccha, if I'm acknowledging the God in you, why would I need to rescue you?
Exactly.
Now, there may be a space that I can hold for you, a space to be with you, a space to acknowledge, so that you can do your work, but rescue?
That's powerful. I like the difference and the distinction that you're making, because I do know that, and maybe you can help me flesh this part out. That's what a tube will do. I'll be asking, I'll be like, hey, I can feel something coming. I'm ready to do it. Can you partner up with me? Can you stand by or something like that? I'm willing to stand in it and do it. Could you partner with me in some way? That in some ways, that's how a tool might do it sometimes.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, how do I do this? Will let you really know when I say, well, how do I fix this? You can already see I'm on something else, versus I can see that something is up and I want to be present to it.
Yeah. I mean, you said yourself, sometimes you say, sometimes I know that you don't answer my call,
Mhm.
and, I check in to see you probably about the only person that can reach me, like, without a planned call. But, sometimes, and I was sharing this with one of the coaches today. I said, sometimes the universe does not want you to reach someone. Your soul is trying to get your attention. So if I answer your call to give you an answer that you can actually get for yourself, if you sit still and close your eyes, I'm not doing you a favor.
Exactly.
You
There's a
know?
there's a wealth inside of that. So when you're talking about the generosity and we're talking about wealth, there's a wealth inside of being able to know that everything that I need is inside of me.
Yes. Yes. And
And
my leadership is not to make codependent people worshiping and, oh, my guru. I'm not into that. That's not, like I said, you might catch me standing up on the table with a cigar and a glass of whiskey in my hand, talking about, and y'all talking about spiritual goddess. No, no, I'm on my path. I'm here to live life. I'm here to be, I'm not called to be a monstrous or any of that. So part of my experience in life is to experience life. And what I share with you is so that you can have a rich experience in life, not so that you can think that, I have the answers. I have some answers, and then you have some answers. And when we come together and share, we actually stimulate other people with answers. Does that make sense?
yes, it's very powerful what you're sharing too. I have experience. I had an opportunity to work with. I was calling them the Sacred Wives Club. I had an opportunity to work with some of the coaches, and we were talking about some things. And I could see that when we were together, there was so much of a flowing, a lovely energy that really was nurturing and supportive to each one.
Mm-hmm.
And it was more so of holding space each for each other, not giving each other answers. It wasn't nothing that was broken, ain't nothing to fix. What
Mm-hmm.
can we be present to? What is
Yes.
there to acknowledge? What is there to support? That's pretty much where we were sitting and having fun at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, um, I'm going to be 60 in January, and one of the
Congratulations.
I know, I'm just getting so excited, because I didn't think I'd live past 30, and I'm about to double it down. But one of the gifts that I want to be able to do is to give what we've created to the coaches, all that are interested, and retire for the third time, and be inside of a different flowing, and it's like, what a space to be in, of generosity and freedom, right? I mean, and it's a legacy. It's so much, that we have, and so much richness that we have. But I look at retiring so many people from corporate. Like, nope, we about to go over here and run master force, with paid positions, nope, I'm going over here to, and that's why I said, Iccha, when you're looking at creating the Alchemist Daughter, our brand, one of our brand is to say fueled by Master Force. It doesn't have to have Master Force name on the door, it's Alchemist Daughter, but it's fueled by Master Force, and that's how we continue to support each other ongoingly, by sharing the curriculum, by growing each other, by having support groups, by having meditation sessions, by having coaches corners. I love that you guys are getting together and creating, community. We have to get back to community. Everything that's going on in the communities where they're talking about violence and all this is because we've stopped loving and communing with one another. There's so much television, so much electronics, so much distraction, that people don't even sit down and have meals together, you know? So we
Wow.
want to create that. We want to support people in creating that. We have to go back to the old school ways of doing things.
Old school, baby. I love that. I was out on my back porch one morning, girl, just singing and singing and having a good time with myself, like I will sometimes. And my neighbor said, Iccha. I said, yes. She said, you want some French roast? I said, girl, you are speaking my language. And it was so cool. I made my cup of coffee And the one time I made it and it did not taste like I wanted it to.
Oh,
And she said, "Do you
okay.
like French roast?" I said, "Girl, yes." And
Girl.
she, made me a little cup of it and fixed it just right. It was wonderful. And I said, hello to her and to my neighbor down below her. And I had created that this is a family building.
Yeah.
I don't have any family members that live here, but this is a family that I create because we here together. We live here together.
Yes.
So within my creating of that, within just less than several weeks, everyone in my building and then the one that's across, next connected to the courtway, they all introduced themselves to me in some form or
Oh,
fashion. We saw each other somewhere here or there or whatever. How beautiful.
it's so beautiful. I mean, down here, every time somebody checks in with me every day. Moot, do you need something? When they get ready to go to the grocery store, you have some empty water bottles because we literally can get alkaline water, a gallon refill for $1 at one of the health food stores, and they're like, Moot, I'm gonna come and get your bottles. Do you need to go to the grocery store? I'm gonna bring you some pistachios. We going to get some dinner. Do you want to? I mean, just constant support, and I'm like, wow, this is community. That's what community, and we must bring. I'm loving that you're doing that with your building. We have to start in our homes. We
Yes.
must start in our homes. I was talking to a brother King recently, and he told me he's down in Florida. Told me a conversation about how he loved his mother, but he was like, I can see that there were some things about her that messed me up. He said, because we would get ready for church in the morning. And I mean, before we could get out of the house, I done got knocked upside the head with the brush. I done got pushed down. I done been choked with the tie and everything. He said, and it was just, all of us were mad by the time we got to church. And then we get to church and everybody, hey, sister, so and so, and she just smiling and hey, and and he was like, everybody thought my mother was sweet. They thought she
Mm.
was the sweetest woman, he said, and she was mean. And so for him, he's waiting for every woman that he comes in contact with to be mean. So he can't, it's like, I don't care how generous and sweet and loving the woman is, he's just now getting to a point where he realizes he just can't believe that there's not a meanness, like she's not going to hurt him at some point the way his mother did.
Wow.
And so we have to get back to loving our homes, our children, our mates. We have to bring love into the house, and bring it back with the fierceness,
Yes. Wow.
and not put this separateness like that. Because when our mothers went out of the house and left the sons and the daughters, the sons suffered more. So you have a whole generation of sons who were not loved by their mothers.
That's really powerful, Shemsu-t. I know that what we're talking about is
Circle of
is the
wealth.
wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Inside of the circle of wealth, I want to say I'm so present to it that our connections and our partnerships are our wealth.
Our family.
And
Mm-hmm.
having an opportunity to do that level of connectedness, that level of connected work with our partnerships, it's so awesome. And what I'm basically saying is that I'm looking at my little bookshelf and I'm remembering I Don't Want to Talk About It and How Can I Get Through to You. Two books by Terrence Real that talk very much about what men are experiencing and having us be present to that, and the depression that men experience, that it is not acceptable for them to show. And so when I look at that, I can see that there can be a poverty mentality inside of that space of not
Yes.
recognizing what a wealth it is to have a mate that can be present to their feelings and be present to that, and also realizing where I could be supportive. in my divine partnership.
Well, when you're
what that could look like.
yeah, when you're doing your circle of wealth, right? You're creating your circle of wealth. And once you created your circle of wealth for your family or your household, you'll create a circle of wealth for the men in your space. Now, I have a circle of wealth for the male Master Force coaches, the female Master Force coaches, the executive coaches. You know, in any time that I'm focusing energy on any of those, I promise you, they either call me, they either show up in my Facebook inbox. Something happens. Like they feel the energy. They reach out to me. You know, same thing with my children when I'm sending them energy. So they feel it. They get it. You know, and the downloads come to you regarding what they need. It comes to you. You know, when I'm sending energy to my mate, I mean, you know, I can go, you know, sometimes days without talking to him because of the distance and because sometimes I'm busy. I'm workaholic sometimes, and he is too. So we're even on that. But, you know, as soon as I turn that energy towards him, it's like, bam, he'll call, text, send me a chat, you know. So we know that this is real energy. So you don't have to go, if there's an issue with your mate, you don't always have to go talk to him. You can send energy. You can hold the space and then allow him to approach you. Allow him to open the space. Because sometimes as women, we've gotten to be so aggressive, you know, that we've forgotten how to be soft and dainty. We're receptive. Our natural ability is to receive. Our yoni is open to receive. You know, we don't have something hanging on the outside. It's inward. So we have to cultivate ourselves from the inside so that we can receive the messages. The circle of wealth is a tool for us to focus our attention so that we're spending 3 to 5 minutes sending energy to those people who are most significant in our space at that particular time. And like you said, it changes depending on what we're working with.
Yes.
But you get to magnetize your wealth. That's how you magnetize it. You see? Does that make
That is so powerful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is powerful. So when I'm like hearing you talk about the different ones that you have, I'm becoming inspired because I could see that there's more expansion of what I could create, you know, as far as different circles to, you know, send energy and love and light to. And also this gives a context to the day. One of the things that I'm becoming very present to is that what do I choose that actually has heart and meaning for me? Because some of the choices that I have historically made have been to support my life and living, or to support something that, you know, that I may not have to be present to the same way. Just like when the babies are little, you know, we have to nurture and support them a lot more than when they're 12. Yeah. Speaking about my 12 and 13-year-olds that I'm be working with and ACEs, I'm getting connected to that 12 and 13-year-old energy, you know?
Yes.
And so there's a difference. So now what can I create in my space that has heart and meaning, you know, for me, that I can get excited about, get passionate about? You know, and one of the things that I know that I became passionate about is like, I'm like, what is this neighborhood that I'm in? I started doing some research. It's called South Chicago. I started finding out, you know, what it was, when it was founded and everything, because what I thought to myself is, I desire to, I know I'm gonna move around the world and do this and that. This has been a beautiful home to me. I desire to enrich this area.
Wow.
In some way.
Wow.
What could be a viable business that would be a beacon on that corner? You know, that people would be like, oh man, you got to go to South Chicago because of whatever. You know, what is something that will provide substance and texture and beauty
Yes.
That's what I'm opening up to. I see several vacant buildings and vacant lots. I'm looking like, is there a way for community agriculture to take place, or
Mm.
just different other types of things? Block club, girl, who knows? I said, how can I create something
That's
that I'm
beautiful.
passionate about, to have a reverberation of love and light and substance and art and creativity out into the universe? That's what I'm about.
And you just created, I'm listening to you. So if you created a circle of wealth around what you just said, you had 12 elements right there, right? And
Yes.
so inside of your intention, you start sending energy into those just on a daily basis. And we already know the physics of the 17-second rule, it holds for everything. So as soon as you start working inside of that energy, within 3 days, something miraculous is going to happen.
Yes.
It's just going to.
Yes.
Faith the size of a mustard seed.
Yes.
Just to believe just one little piece. And that's what we talk about, relax. Put it out there and then relax.
Yes.
But your energy has to be relaxed. If you're hostile and arrogant and egotistical and all of that, you're still putting forth a battering. Boom. The energy, the universe sends you something. Boom. You playing ping pong. This is not ping pong. This is not ping pong. You don't have to send something back. Your energy is to receive, to be the alchemist, to transform that, to be magical. And then whatever comes out of you, no matter what comes to you, whatever comes out is going to be love. And because you're reverberating love, the universe is always looking for ways to send love to you. Yes. So when you put your ideas out there, your intentions, somebody is vibrating with you. Somebody might walk up to you and say, hey, I have this project in mind. I got $1 million. Would you be interested in it? You'd be like, what the? Yes. And what do we say? I was just thinking about that.
I was just thinking about you.
I was just thinking about you. How many people you just thinking about? And you say, I was just thinking about you. That's the same thing.
Yeah.
Sending an intention out. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Iccha, for just represencing. I can already see I'm going to spend the whole night playing in my notebook.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm buying me a new notebook. Because it serves almost like a vision board, except for it's a circle of wealth. We're creating wealth from it. And we're putting our energy towards it, and yeah, you're right. When on my circle of wealth, you, Shalonda, Catrice, Alanda, Aaron, Tammy. I mean, I got 12 solid, and most of y'all from the first class, and are in my space. And as soon as I say Tammy, boom, there you go.
Right? Isn't that something?
Yes. Shalonda the same way. So the same is true about, Greg and some of the others. And it's just really exciting. It's very exciting to know that we can send people energy and we don't even have to talk to them.
It's such a generous way to be. And then to receive the love from the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, because the more you give, the more the universe is going to give to you.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. So get your rituals and your practices together. Start with your family. Always, charity starts where? At home.
At home.
Always family first. This is something that we have not been taught to do. So I don't want you all, everybody be taught, oh, we close family. Most of us are not taking care of family. We're not. We just look like we are. So make it solid.
That's important. And it gives me pause to allow myself to, that's a good touchstone for me to check in with myself. One of the things that I remember that you just said, I think kind of in the beginning of what we were talking about, is that as we're growing and ascending and everything, the people that are around us should be well loved and taken care
By us.
of by us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a way, for me to check in with myself.
Yeah. If I'm avoiding people, anytime I can say I don't like somebody, that's an interesting point, because again, God doesn't care. God doesn't like. God doesn't dislike. God just sends energy, and you gonna do what you do with it. And if the universe is sending energy and you're stuck, something happens. You know, but we want to get to the point where we know that we matter to life. So when people show up in our space, it's not whether you like or dislike. The universe is asking you to take care of that person.
We matter to life.
We matter to life, and that's where our divinity gets to show up. There is a story in the Bible. It's a lot of good books like the Bible, but I love the Bible because it has such great stories talked about. You never know when you're entertaining angels. And the poor man came by and you diss him, and it was an angel. You never
Yeah.
know. But that's the same thing is true about our children. We don't know if our children are angels or not, our mates and whoever. Yeah.
Yes. 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 Oh, Shemsu-t is so beautiful. I'm gonna
Yeah.
look at our
I think we reached the end of our conversation now, and what I want to make sure that people realize is next week there is no Coach's Corner,
right.
because we have Ignite Your Soul Connection.
Yes.
And I'm really looking forward to that. I'm very excited to be having a conversation about youth and children. And children are so, I miss my children. I miss my children. I miss my grandchildren. And at the same time, I know that the universe is giving me this space for myself. And I got it. I'm like, okay, I got it. I hear you. And it's been such a nurturing space to be in. So I'm grateful. I'm not creating a space of regret or denial about it. I'm just present to, that I love my family and I love my children, and the richness that offers.
Yes.
So next week, to be able to talk about the children, and I have so many stories about my own children because they're definitely inside the indigo rainbow crystal realm.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So anything for you, anything else for you, Iccha?
I just looked over our outline. We did touch on everything. I'm grateful. Much gratitude for the coaches. Much gratitude for the community that we're weaving even more deeply than we have before. So yeah, it's family time, y'all.
It is, and I can call it the Master Force group family. We're in our soul family. I I can't. I didn't know what I was doing, guys, when I created this, and I still don't know what I'm doing. I don't have to know what I'm doing to allow the universe to use me, and I can see it. I can see it more clearly from hindsight. And a lot of people who are in Master Force, we met on Facebook, and now they're closer to me than anyone I've ever been close to. So I treasure who we are for each other. And I'm looking forward to spending more time and building and doing more things together. And I know that this was a time of clarity to get present to who we are for each other and to build on that.
Yes. Beautiful, very beautiful. So, wow, the divine in me recognizes and salutes the divine at all things and the divine in you.
Thank you, Iccha. Divine in me receives that, and I recognize and appreciate the divine in you. And thank you for that tapping video today.
Absolutely. There'll be more to come. I wanted to get started, more to come.
Yes, thank you. I'll be talking to you soon. All right,
Absolutely.
everybody. See you on the Not Your Soul Connection.
Yes.